episode 6 of the Racing Pigeon podcast. I want to make sure I say it right. I've been doing so many intros here lately. And today we've got another interview, don't we, Kevin?
Yes, sir. We got a good one today. We got Mr. John Marles out of Brooksville, Florida, originally out of Canada, but this man's been flying pigeons for a long, long time. Is very, very well known, very well respected, and he is going to talk to us about young bird systems today. So there's several different systems you can fly when you're doing young birds. We talk a little bit about just flying natural first. And then we go into the light system, and then we start discussing the dark system as well. And we kind of we divulge into some other, he's got a
Okay.
lot of stories. He's been around the pigeon sport, like I said, for decades. He travels to Europe. He's met basically anybody who's a big name in the pigeon sport. Mr. Marles has met
You're getting some really
or
big
was
names
known
here
them
for
at
us.
some point. What's that?
You get some real big names here for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Go to
Yeah.
the source. I actually
Yeah.
saw some on your Facebook post something about light and dark. It says something about flying at night, flying during the day. I'm taking that's not what this is about.
No, no, not quite. No. But we'll explain it all to you. John does a real good job. He's a master at both systems. So he is full of good information. And I think this was probably the best episode yet, to be honest with you. So
Awesome. Okay.
looking forward to it.
Well, let's hear from a sponsor and we'll jump right into it.
Sounds good. All right, pigeon people, listen up. And yes, I know you're out there. If you're tired of your birds giving you that, you could have upgraded me by now. Look, it's time to visit rpauctions.com. This is the hot spot where racing pigeon breeders buy, sell, and outbid each other like it's the Super Bowl of feathers. The site's easy to use, the birds are top notch, and the bidding gets, let's just say, intense. So do your loft a favor. Head over to rpauctions.com and find a bird that won't judge you every time you walk by. All right, welcome back to another segment of Racing Pigeon Podcast with Kevin and Wes. Wes is taking a little break here, but we are so happy to be joined by Mr. John Marles from nice, sunny, warm Florida today. John is I think, a longtime flyer, right? And we're going to talk about flying different systems today with John. I've heard that John is the master of all these different systems. And he's gracious enough to come on the podcast and share with all of us, what these systems are all about, how you do them, what are the benefits, maybe the pros and cons of the systems. So, John, we appreciate it very much. Why don't you start out by just telling our listeners and viewers a little bit about yourself for those of you that don't know who John Marles is?
Okay, I started when I was about 7 years old. I got my first pair of pigeons. And by the time we were 9, there were so many kids involved in it back in the day in the
Oh, wow.
50s that we were starting our own little races. What we would do is get little bands from the gentlemen that were racing, the rubber bands, and we'd get our parents to set it up with the phone and have one parent take the birds away. The first race with a clock was in 63, and I had what most people will have no idea about is a 3-dial toulette. It had 3 dials and a pin that when the bird came home, you'd take the counter mark and put it in a capsule and it would hit and the pin would go through whatever time, day, hour, and second through the 3. Yeah. And I flew in Canada from the 60 to 2008.
Okay.
So, several 5 or 6 decades. And then I came down to flying the GHC in Florida and have been flying here with one exception. I went back to flying Canada 2 years ago.
Oh.
My wife was not too happy, but it was a lot of fun that year because I'd stopped flying old birds. I went right back to Canada, got some young birds, flew young birds in Canada, and came right back in September to fly young birds here.
Oh,
So
my goodness
it was a
gracious.
great year.
Wow.
Yeah,
What's been your biggest, in your opinion, what's been your biggest accomplishment in the sport?
the ones you remember that I remember, 600 miles flying up north. And the days are long, so you can get birds 14, 15 hours on the wing. And I had the only day bird a couple of times, but I remember my wife and I were sitting, I lived on Lake Ontario up in the bluffs, about
Okay.
250 feet up. So my
Wow.
wife and I were sitting out one night. It was about 25 to 10. So I was just about to shut the loft down, and all I heard was a poof. And I looked in because I was flying open door at that time, and there was the little dark checker hen,
Oh my.
1572.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ah.
So that was a biggie. Down here, we won the 500, and we once again we were sitting on the stairs, and this bird just came, alighted, went in, and looked like it hadn't been around the corner.
Oh my
So
gracious.
that was a biggie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's accomplishment to win any race in the GHC. So, I mean, to win the 500s is phenomenal, but to win any race down there, how have you fared in the classic?
I was fourth the first year I flew it. Yeah.
Okay.
And since then, I've had the seconds, but I stopped racing in the classic a couple of years ago,
Okay.
basically just to give my own birds a better shot.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah. Makes
small
sense.
little loft that I kept just for classic birds, and then I would move them over to my loft once, they were in there for 2 or 3 months.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense. Makes sense. I've never had good luck in the classic either, but I'm going to try it this year. We'll see.
There you go.
All right. So, John, again, appreciate you being here tonight with us. And the topic of the day is systems. So, we're talking about young birds, obviously. So, for those of you that don't know, young birds are birds that were bred, pretty much January, February, March, maybe April is pushing it. And then they're flown in the fall. So, typically starting in September, October, something like that. So, when we have these young birds, we can fly them what we call natural, or we have different systems. Let's talk about natural first. If you fly young birds natural, what does that mean?
It means that you're not altering it at all. You're just allowing them to go through a molt. You're not setting any time, day to shut down
Okay.
or to keep the lights on.
Yep. So you
Some of
just
the
let them use
pitfalls.
natural sunlight, just natural sunrise, natural sunset.
The only problem there is most of the times, once they get to that fourth or fifth flight,
Mhm.
all the covering comes off.
Yeah.
So even as kids, what we would do is we would take our fingers and take off the covering right
Oh,
away, just so they
so
get
that
new
feather would
covering
pop.
on.
Yeah.
Right. So at least they would be able to race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want them to be what we call slick, which
Hmm.
I don't know how we explain that to a non-pigeon person. How would you explain a slick bird?
Well, it's like handling a scarf, and you just put your fingers across a scarf, and there's so many variations of that. I've had people over and they'll say, well, what are you talking about when you're talking about feathering quality? And I said,
Mhm.
there's a difference. It's subtle,
Mhm.
but it's very different. We were at Yannick de Ritter's this summer over on Flanders Connection, and
Mhm.
he was showing us two young ones from the blizzard.
Okay.
And he was saying to the guys, okay, handle them. And right, I knew where he was going with it because, which one would you choose?
Yep.
And at the end, he said, it's all about that silk. It's all about that feather quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Because if
there's
they
something.
don't have that, and after you've handled a lot of, we'll just say, very, very top Belgian national winners, they all have it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
one thing that they all have.
Yeah. Silky soft feathers. Beautiful. Yep. Okay, so if we're not going to fly the natural system, because it sounds like we're going to run into issues with birds that are not completely molted out in the fall when we need them to be slick. So we've invented basically light manipulation, right? And so we've got two systems. We've got what's called a light system or a dark system. So let's go ahead and start with the light system first. What is it? How do you start? When do you start it? And what are the pros and cons of using the light system?
Well, you can start right from the get-go. In other words, your breeders, you can put those breeders on 20 hours of light, which in most cases is beneficial anyways, whether you're living north or south, because that way they get fed for 20 hours.
That's right.
As soon as they are weaned, and I wean mine at about 19 days, 18, 19, very early.
Wow.
It works, believe it or not.
We'll have to talk about that later because
yeah. So
wow.
They are put into 20 hours of light. Some people go to 24. It's really a preference. But you have to make sure that they're far, far away from your old birds, because if the old birds get any light, they'll start to molt.
Okay.
You know, if you were using your racers to breed, you could not put those under 20 hours. Otherwise, your racers would start to molt and you're finished for racing.
Okay.
And basically, it's keeping them at 20 hours till you get to about June.
Okay.
June, the 1st, generally speaking, down here anyways, we cut the 9th and the 10th, just about an inch down. Let it dry out. And then again, it's 11 days, 12 days. Everybody has their own preference.
Yep.
You very gently pull those. And sometimes it's beneficial if you put them in warm water, hot water, to just, for the bird.
Okay.
Because you don't want to slip up there. It does take a very gentle hand at pulling those out. Otherwise, you'll have screw tops. Yeah, not very great.
Yep.
You shut the lights off then, and then they'll go through a body molt.
Okay. Okay. So it sounds like June 1st, we cut flights.
Yep.
Maybe June 15th, we pull flights, turn lights off.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. In some areas, you'd want to cut the 8th, 9th, and 10th, all depending.
Wow.
And
what areas would they want to cut the 8th?
Well, because you don't want to get to the 8th, and then they've got a gap if they're racing.
Oh, gotcha.
If they won't make it. So, for instance, if a bird was raised later, say April.
So an April bird, gotcha.
I've even seen people take the 4th and 5th from the end out.
Oh my!
So basically, they have a quail.
Yeah. Oh my gosh!
They called it a power molt.
Okay.
Now I will add what I do is I will pull the entire tail.
Really?
June 1st. Yeah,
on June 1st.
Yeah. Or June 15th, because then you're gonna lock them. You're gonna lock them down.
Yep. Of course. Yep.
For at least 2 months, a month and a half to 2 months, depending, to get the tail in. Yep. What happened one year is I did not pull the tail, and then when I went to start racing, they were throwing this tail feather, and I thought, let's do the whole thing, and it's brand new.
Okay.
And we'll run with that.
Okay.
That month and a half gives them an opportunity to get in a real nice, beautiful tail. Again, lots of protein at that time.
Yep. Of course. Okay. So we've cut our lights off June 15th. That's going to throw the birds into a full body molt, just like crazy. You're going to have feathers everywhere. Okay.
Everywhere.
So,
pillows.
2 months. Yeah, exactly. Right. Make some pillows. So 2 months go by. Keep the birds in. Now, after 2 months, you've got a bird that basically has the feathers of a yearling, right?
Yes.
So if that bird competes against a bird who's on the natural system,
no, there's no comparison.
No comparison.
Not even close. Now, I will say that some people cut the 9th and keep them exercising.
Okay.
They pull the 9th, and then once the 9th is in, they'll cut the 10th.
They'll do the 10th. That way they can keep the birds flying.
Right, but down here it's
Gotcha.
almost impossible. I mean, you're looking at temperatures 90 plus, humidity through the roof. It really is a tough time.
Yeah. And there's no need to be
Even,
flying birds in July anyhow, to be quite honest.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Are there any cons to the lighting system? Anything that can go wrong
Oh,
that people need to be aware of?
I would think there are some nuances that you can, get into. I know that personally, I will then in end of August, beginning of September, I'll put the lights back on.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I only do that to keep the hormones going. When I was visiting with Ronnie Williamson in Ireland,
Okay. Yep.
yeah, we were talking about that, and he always does that to keep
Really?
those hormones going because he wants to separate the sexes and have a party
But that
as
doesn't throw them back
motivation.
into a molt?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Now you have to be careful to cut it at a certain point because you don't want them starting to molt for next year.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Okay, so there's
Yeah.
a little that's a little tricky. Okay.
It
All right.
is, it is. But I mean, that's how the dark system came about. That's how the light system came about. Somebody
Yeah.
trying something a
Trying
little
something.
different.
Gotcha. So can the light system be used anywhere? I mean, Canada to
Yep.
Florida,
Yep. Yep.
California, you can use the light
Yep.
system wherever you are, right?
And one of the big advantages is that if your loft is set for 20 birds,
Okay.
because I always think there's a magic number for every loft.
Yep.
You exceed that and you've got problems.
I agree.
But see, with the dark system, most fanciers will try to put the same number in that loft. And that's when the respiratory comes, all that
Okay.
good stuff.
So let's move right into the dark system then. So I'm familiar with the light system, but the dark system I am not familiar with. I have never attempted to use it. I know this much about it. So
Oh,
tell us about the dark system. When do you start it? What's the process? Again, pros, cons, things like that.
I just a little notation in 1983, 84, I'm sitting waiting with this veterinarian, Jen Young, for one of the nationals in Holland.
Mhm.
And actually, I've got a picture. I should have pulled that from the book.
Oh.
And in the picture, I'm looking at his lofts, and he's got plywood in the windows. And you'd think that somebody would have picked up on that and said, "Hey, how come you?" I
Yeah.
missed it. I
Oh
missed
my
it.
gosh.
A couple of years later, this Dutch flyer in our club is bringing old birds to a young bird race. Beautiful, finished, gorgeous. Hasn't dropped a flight, and he's knocking us silly. And I thought, what is he doing? So that's when I got a hold of a few guys at Scarlockens and that, and he said, "Oh yeah, he's on the dark system." I
Oh
thought,
boy.
okay.
Okay.
So basically, when you wean those young ones, whatever time it be,
Yeah.
they have to go into a situation where it's dark. Some guys will do it 10 hours of light in a day, some 8 hours.
Okay,
Again, you have
gotcha.
to, a lot of it's going to depend too where your loft is.
Okay.
Some lofts are, kind of with treed in,
Yep.
but the inside the loft, you shouldn't be able to read a book. In other
Oh,
words, it should be fairly dark in there.
wow.
The problem arises is that you've got to have some sort of ventilation, some sort of fans. I used to have
Okay.
bathroom fans, 50 CFMs, for every 4 feet,
Oh,
and they'd be on
yeah.
24 hours, but just
Wow.
on low, just enough to
Yep.
change that air. And then I would use only half the birds that I had in there
Okay.
before. So if
Got
the loft was 20 young ones, I would try to go for 10.
it. Okay. Wow. So in the light system, we're trying to speed up the molt, get them done before
Yep.
race season. And it sounds like in the dark system, we're trying to just hold it off, just delay it,
The
right?
flights, the
Ah.
body goes through as soon, even here in Florida, if you raise them early, like normally I'll have those bands on those young ones, Gen 1.
Yep.
If you don't put the lights on, they'll go into the dark. They'll start to have a body molt.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Yep. I
Interesting.
mean, my young ones have been weaned about 3-4 weeks, and if I hadn't put the lights on them, yeah, they'd start.
They start molting already.
Yep.
So
A
in the
body.
dark system, body molt. Yep. So in the dark system, we don't cut and pull the ninth and tenths. We just
No, you
leave
don't touch them.
the baby feathers there.
And you cross your fingers that they don't start to molt, because you don't want that. Because once they're over, just like once they're over fourth flight, it's pretty much over. Fifth
Yeah,
flight,
you can't stop them.
yeah, it's
Interesting.
over.
So I think it sounds like the dark system would be pretty challenging to use in warmer climates because
Oh,
when you're closing them in, I mean, if it's 80, 90 degrees outside,
I had a guy come and it was a big secret. This is 2003, one of the first years I was coming down here, and he said, I wouldn't tell anybody else, but since you're not flying down here, come over. I'm doing the dark. I said, okay, show me where. And so we stepped into the room that he had allocated.
yeah.
I said, I just close that up. And what are you doing here? I said, well, close that up. And we got talking, and at about 10 minutes, 50, he said, it's pretty hot in here, isn't it? I said, you are almost going to need, because, I had flown the dark system for years and years. I said, you're going to almost need AC in here because it has to pull out that relative humidity out of the air. And otherwise you're going to have sick pigeons. They'll all have respiratory.
Goodness, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. Wow. So why have some places outlawed the dark system?
Well, that's interesting. Well, why do some places destroy it? Widowhood, it was outlawed. Why? Because there was a Belgium, there were lots of Belgian flyers up there. I did a number of articles back in the late 60s and 70s on guys like Adolphe Patou. I mean, way ahead of his time, way ahead of his time. He took me downstairs and opened these curtains, and what he had made, tool and die, was a gadget that went on those old clocks, the old wooden clocks. Yeah. That just, you hit it and boom, boom, boom. It would just keep. So as fast as he could put thimbles in there, it was cranking them off. He wouldn't sell one to me, but he had all these made. And he made bets with guys how many he could put in, and then he pulled this out. Oh, he apparently pulled it out in a bar and proved that he could put so many down in so many seconds. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And there was a number of good flyers, and of course that as soon as you get good flyers, let's outlaw it.
Okay.
And then the dark system was outlawed in Jersey, but I thought, how could you tell for certain whether a bird was?
Well, I guess if it has its baby flights, I guess you would know.
What they decided was that it had to have so many flights molted or you couldn't ship it, which negated shipping any late breds.
That's true. Unless you were cutting the 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th and pulling all of them in July or whatever. That's the only way.
Yeah, so basically it's one, just to cut the competition,
Yeah. I think it's to keep everybody more equal, right?
But we're not. There's some guys who, like I've got a microscope here. I don't know. I think, and it's there's guys with feeding system. There's guys who are bringing top birds in all the time. So there's guys who are retired. I remember the old men telling
Yeah.
me, "Oh, John, it doesn't matter." I thought, yes, it does. I'm sitting in a classroom
Yep.
at
Me
10
too.
o'clock. The sun,
Me too. Yeah.
you're a teacher?
I'm a professor. Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
so, I'm looking, I want to get out and train them. And then, of course, when I get to 4 o'clock, somebody hits me with, "Oh, can you do a ball game for me? Can you rip, and then I'm skewered." And I thought,
Yep.
yeah, it
Yep.
makes a big difference. Huge.
Yeah. Yeah. The guys in my club, a lot of them are retired, and I mean, it's hard to compete against them because I could be at work all day long. I can't be training pigeons, but I get up early to take them to work with me, and I'm let them go there. And I won
Sure.
5 out of the 9 races this young bird season, so
Yeah.
it worked. I mean, good enough. But man, if I was retired, I would have won 9 out of 9. You know?
Sure, you're on top of everything. Plus, if you can see the birds come home, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because
Oh
as
yeah.
soon as they land, you're looking at all kinds of things. Are they
Yes.
scratching? Are they
Yes.
yawning? Are they
Yes.
exhibiting all those things?
Yes.
Whereas
Yes.
you're just hoping a hawk doesn't pick one off the landing board.
Absolutely. You're right. Yeah. Let's talk real quick with our systems. When those birds get thrown into the molt, especially on the light system, what kind of protein are you looking at levels? You looking at like 16% protein, or
Oh,
what you
higher.
trying to have one? Higher than
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
18 to
With
20?
with extra, green peas, and I want some peanuts, not many, but some in there.
You want the oils?
Definitely. Oh, Cetical, always.
Hmm.
Yeah. And of course, any other kind of oil that you want to use,
Yeah.
that'll help with
Yeah.
the situation.
Put the shine on them. Mm.
Sure. Absolutely. Bruigee, spirulina, all those kinds of things.
Brewer's yeast is something that when I first got into pigeons, it seemed like everybody was, oh, you got to use brewer's yeast, use brewer's yeast. But now you don't hear guys talking about it at all. So is it fallen out of favor for
Of
something
grace.
else? What's that?
It was fallen into grace.
Fallen out of great? Yeah, I still use it, but
Oh, I
you don't
do.
hear of anybody using it anymore.
Well, some guys will ask me about red beet powder when they're here, and I use that. I
You
mean,
use that?
sure, athletes are using it,
Yeah, yeah,
to increase the oxygen. Why
exactly.
wouldn't you?
Increases the red blood cells, right?
Blood cells, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Which absorb the oxygen, which give the birds energy. Yeah, makes sense for sure. All right. Well, I think we've killed our system discussion. Is there any last words you want to tell our listeners about either system if they want to try it? Tips,
Well, there's
pointers?
sure there's certain pitfalls with the dark system in that you finish
Okay.
off the year. Now you're trying to play catch up. You've got
Ah,
birds now that are on their third flight, fourth flight. You've got to get them through. Because what'll happen the next year if you don't, they'll start dropping those flights, and then they're useless to you.
So in other words, when you get to old bird season next spring,
Right.
right, they're out.
So the way
Yeah.
there's about 3 or 4 different ways to do it. One is that you're going back to the light system. So in other words, you're pulling those flights at the end of the year.
Gotcha.
Another one is to give them some heat and some light to put them through.
Okay.
And you got to shut them down first for a little bit, then put the lights back on with a little bit of heat
Oh my
just to
God.
get them through.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
yeah, so that it's a double-edged sword always when you're fooling with nature.
Sounds like it. Yeah. Sounds like the dark system. It's a good thing I can't use it. It's sounds too much work for me. Um, Now, I guess one thing we should mention about the light system, John, that we kind of didn't mention is that when you cut and pull flights artificially, those flights when they grow in, they're not quite what they would be if they were molted naturally, correct?
Perfect. Yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. And so what I try to do is if I can push those early young ones. The ones that are already out now, they've been out for about 3 weeks now,
Yeah.
2 to 3 weeks. Those ones you can get to the end.
Yeah, before
the first race. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, depending on where you race. I know some guys start racing 1st of August. Young
Yeah,
birds.
here, yeah, we're end of September, so
Yeah. See, we're beginning of September here. So I guess that kind of depends where you are, but you're right. The early
sure.
ones, you might be able to get them through. But I'll be very honest, John. Again, I won 5 out of 9 races and I cut and pulled. So I was dealing with, slightly lesser
Yeah,
than ninths and tenths. And they did fine. But I mean, if you, don't want to do that, then try to push them through. Um,
yeah. I remember talking with Art Hees when I first came down here. Art was one of the better flyers for sure. And he would always try to set some aside that didn't. And, he would
but he
show
didn't
you,
cut.
look at, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
His secret weapons.
Well, there's so many variables in the game. It's hard to just say, okay, that one variable, you
There,
know,
there
yeah.
are. But it was nice when I showed up on shipping nights this fall, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, your pigeons are beautiful. They're not even molting. Look at mine." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what's going on." You know? Because you don't show up and say, "Oh, I use the light system." You don't do that. Um, but it was nice because the other flyers in my club, they noticed that my pigeons were different than theirs.
Hmm.
So I thought I must be doing something right. But
There you go.
yeah, but
What club,
like you said, there's so many variables.
what club was that you were flying in?
We fly. My club here is the Carolina Low Country Racing Pigeon Club. So we're just a small club in South Carolina.
Cara,
But
it's called Carolina
Carolina Low Country. Yep.
Low Country.
So
Okay.
CLC is if you go to the AE
CLC.
database, yeah, look for Carolina
Okay.
Low Country, and
Okay.
that's us. So yep.
Okay.
But well, thank you, John. I really appreciate it. It has been a wonderful conversation. I've enjoyed having you on immensely. So I hope you will agree to come back and share some
No,
more
yeah,
secrets
sure.
about. Who knows? Maybe we'll just do an episode where John tells stories for an hour.
Yeah.
Because I
I can
know
see
you
them
have.
turn.
Well, I know you have. Well, you've been flying pigeons for a long, long time, and B, you go to Europe regularly, and you've talked to the biggest names in the sport, and I think that you probably have so much knowledge and stories and wisdom to share with the rest of us that don't get to go to Europe and do those things, or at least not yet. So we would
Yeah,
love to have you back if you'll agree to it, John.
sure, of course. Yeah, enjoyed it.
I appreciate it very much. And I'm sure the viewers are going to get a kick out of this episode for sure. So I was teasing some of them online. I said, just wait till you see who I found to be my guest next week. And they're
I
going,
got
who,
this
who?
old.
And I said, I'm not saying a word.
I got this old Jerry
Yeah.
Patrick.
All right, John. Well, hopefully you got through this and you didn't give away your secrets so you can still win next
Oh,
year at the
yeah.
PhD, which is challenging. I know. I mean, you get to, oh gosh, you have to fly against, everybody. I mean, everybody. You have to fly against all of them. All the big flyers. They end up in Brooksville. I
Well,
think even
that's
Frank McLaughlin ended up there now, didn't he? So,
yeah. Well, it's the closest thing to Belgium. Actually, in some respects, now as you drive through Belgium, they used to have a loft per every other backyard. When I was
really?
going through with the 70s with Scarlockens, he would say that's so and so, this is so and so, this is so and so.
Oh my
But
goodness.
nowadays, boy, I'll tell you, they'll even mention that at one point we had 2 clubs in this village. Now there's 1 club for 2 villages or 3.
So they're
So
also
they're,
seeing a decline from the heyday.
oh, huge.
Oh,
From
okay.
they were well into a couple of 100,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, and now I think if they could push 20 to 30,000, that would be something.
That's still incredible numbers for me,
Oh
for us.
yeah, yeah.
But
But
you know,
proximity wise, like for instance, we've had up to 15 guys on my street.
yeah. Oh, I've been to Spring Hill. I've been to Brooksville. It's insane. I mean, it's like, oh look, there's a pigeon loft. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. There's another one.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I've been there, but it is amazing. And who knows, maybe I'll retire someday and move to Brooksville too. And I don't know. You think Tommy will still have the store there when I get there?
Well, Big Andy's got his store now, so there you
Oh,
go.
Big Andy, really? He has a store.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
boy.
he's got everything.
Really?
Yep.
He's trying. So is Tom? Well, I suppose Tommy's still there. I mean, it's
Oh yeah, Tommy's still there, Leslie's still there, but they're
okay.
all finding it a little more difficult to get vaccines in, etc.
Yeah, that's that's a big problem actually. Someone in my club actually ordered some supplements directly from Holland, and they shipped them, and they got to the border control and they said, mm-mm, send them back. Not
Yeah, well,
allowed.
that's what's happening to them.
So he couldn't get his supplements. Couldn't
Yeah.
get him out of Holland.
I know the first year I brought in a whack of supplements, this is back in 75, 76. They were from Jules Gallet. I don't know whether he wrote a series of books. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And he had the vitamin powder, he had all of that stuff. I brought it in, and yet because it was new, the guys were hesitant to buy, and I was sitting with a stock load of this stuff, and I thought, how do I get rid of it? Like I
Oh,
almost had to educate, like you need to
yeah.
use these things,
Yeah.
you know,
And
and that
now
was
we can't get enough.
no,
You know, we
no.
love the supplements from Europe, and the vaccines from Europe, the medications from Europe. Heck, even the food in Europe is, you go to Versalaga in Europe and look at the Versalaga in our bags, and it's like, wait, that's
Well, take a look at the 80 because Big Andy's got that now. The
oh,
AIDI feed. That is
oh, okay. Never heard of that.
AIDI. If you
Okay.
look that up online,
Okay.
it's Willix is in on this and Eddie. Eddie, they're both very good pigeon flyers. One works for Pipa. One is a good friend of Yella Rosier's,
Okay.
and it's the best I've seen. And
Really?
yeah, and you once you go online, you'll see how many different ones he has. I normally stick to number one, number two, and number three, and they've made it so easy that even I can follow it. And then they give you a whole program
Okay.
of, for this 2 hour
Yep.
race, you do this. For a 3 hour, 4 hour race, you do this with the cocks,
Oh,
this with the hens.
wow. Interesting. Okay. I'm gonna look it up. Is it from Europe? Are they
Yes, yes.
importing it in?
Eddie Knowles, and yeah, well, look,
Okay. Okay. I've never heard of it, but I'll check it out for
AI
sure.
AIDI.
AIDI 80 food. Okay. I'll look it
Yep.
up. Sounds good. We don't have any local food stores here, unlike you guys. We have to order everything.
Well,
So
if there were enough clubs in the area, I'm sure that Andy would bring it up to you. In
yeah.
other words, if there was but it's
Yeah.
tough to get guys. I used to do that in my own area,
Yep.
and unfortunately, I'd be there when the truck would arrive. So
Yeah.
my poor back after 150 bags, plus
Exactly.
knowing pigeon guys, he came with, okay, that was 1028 IL because we used to get
Yes.
10% off. And I would go,
Oh my gracious. Yeah, we don't even want to get into that. But
yeah.
stories for another day. Okay, John. Well, let's wrap this up. So,
All righty.
any final words you want to say? I think you've said everything, but any last parting wisdom you want to share?
No, just if anybody had any difficulties, you could always get a hold of me. I usually work with 3 or 4 people each year
Okay.
to kind of help mentor them.
Okay.
I
Wonderful.
actually mentored a gentleman in your area, Robbie Whaley.
Robbie, is it starts with a W?
Yeah, Whaley.
Really? Okay, he's actually he's up in North Carolina, I believe.
Right, right.
Yep,
And
I believe he's a little north of me.
DVM,
But
yeah.
the name rings a bell. I've seen him.
Yeah,
I've seen his
yeah,
name.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
super. That's super.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have to have you back and maybe have a discussion about different strains of pigeons, maybe with you. I know you were an expert at
Oh,
at the old Gabbies and
yeah.
yeah. So we'll pick your brain in the future about some of that stuff. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right, John, you take care. Again, thank you so much for being with us. We really enjoyed it, and we'll definitely have you back for sure.
All righty. Thanks
All right.
again.
Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you. You too. All right, pigeon people, listen up. And yes, I know you're out there. If you're tired of your birds giving you that, you could have upgraded me by now. Look, it's time to visit rpauctions.com. This is the hot spot where racing pigeon breeders buy, sell, and outbid each other like it's the Super Bowl of feathers. The site's easy to use, the birds are top notch, and the bidding gets, let's just say, intense. So do your loft a favor. Head over to rpauctions.com and find a bird that won't judge you every time you walk by.